Yeah. So just to give an overview for any discovery meeting when we go with the customer. So if there are a lot of kind of the back of everyone's mind that a lot of things we should prepare for prior to the meeting, during the meeting, and then after also the meeting, right? So for any discovery, it doesn't have to be only for migration. In any workload, we want to learn more about like the customer environment. Think about it like when you go to a doctor, right? And then the doctor is trying to understand what are your symptoms, what are you feeling. So you start to ask more questions like, okay, you have like a headache. Okay, when it happens, why, if it's morning and night, like, is there anything to trigger? So it's basically you are trying to diagnose what is going on. It's the same for any discovery call. So you don't know what is going on in the customer environment, and you don't know what is it or how it looks like. You're trying to ask these questions to uncover what is going on in that environment. So we kind of summarize it in these 6 different policies, and they are not like after each other. They can happen in any time. You can ask questions from anywhere at any time, but the only thing happen is like the pre-meeting. If let's say that your sales leader come and tell you that we have a meeting with a specific customer, we want to understand that how their migration looks like, how their portfolio looks like, and then how can we help them migrate and why, and all of these questions. So you like from like kind of when someone asks you this, then you should ask a question, right? Do we have any documentation to learn about this customer a little bit? Do we know anything about them? Do we have data, or this is the first meeting ever? You can also go and check online. Okay, who are these customers? What are the use cases? Which industry are they? And then learn a little bit about this customer to understand how can you help them. And then also who will be joining that meeting if there's, okay, now we are having the meeting set up. Okay, are the technical people, are the business people, are both? So to make sure that you are addressing or like asking the right questions, right? And then it will help a lot if this is your first meeting and then you didn't see this customer before, and then you start to have kind of prepared questions. Cheat sheet will help a lot. Asking, you don't have to go through the same exact questions during the meeting. You don't have to read it. You just ask yourself a question. Okay, what do you want to learn from the customer? So you can start asking, okay, I want to learn about the environment. I want to learn about how the portfolio looks like and all of this, and ask specific questions, write down. It will help kind of stream your thoughts. And then when now we prepare everything's ready. So we start to go through the work assessment, technical dive deep, migration strategy, documentation, all of the operations. So we go through all of this. So you want to understand what is the inventory. When we say that the inventory from infrastructure, think about it, about like if someone come and ask you, okay, you wear clothes, right? You have pants, you have t-shirts. Someone come and ask you how many pants and how many t-shirts you have. You'll not know off the top of your head. You might go say, okay, let me go and check. And you might know if you just have 1 or 2. So it depends on the size of the customer environment. So you might say that, oh, we have just 100 of VMs or databases. And you might say that, oh, we have 1,000. We don't really know how much exactly. We have a tool which collects all of this inventory to know how many we have. And then so that's basically from inventory point of view, like how many servers do you have, how old are these servers, how often do you refresh these servers, after usually from 3 to 5 years, it depends on the support, what the customer buy from the hardware vendor. Do you have to refresh the hardware because it gets old? Think about like you update, like kind of you buy a new phone or iPhone or Samsung every 1 or 2, 3 years. So why? Because it gets old, the battery is dying all the time, so you have to change that. So it's the same thing for any hardware or laptop or anything. After that, okay, you want to understand how this inventory looks like, right? What is the dependency about it? What is the application look like? What is the database looks like? What are security? Do you want to understand the business case? When we call about business case, like why you're moving and why, what are the motive we are trying to get out from moving to cloud or AWS, right? And it's like how much it costs on running that workload on AWS versus running it in on-prem environment or your data center. So this is very important for the customer, maybe from not technical point of view, but from the kind of financial, the CFO office always want to know how much they're going to spend on on running this workload on cloud to see that if it makes sense to move or not. And then after that, okay, everything is good. Then we want to know that, okay, what is the more technical, that we call it dive deep in this workload. So, okay, we have so many VM infrastructures or VMs. We have so many applications. Let's say we have hundreds of VMs running 5 applications on top of it. Let's pick one of them and then dive deep on that one. Learn more about the architecture, performance, the availability, and all of this. And then once we identify all of these workloads or the applications, then let's see what is the best migration methodology or like strategy we're going to use. 7 hours, everyone, I think, heard about it so many times so far. And then are you planning to do this migration by yourself? You have a partner to do it, or you want an AWS ProServe team to help you to migrate it or not? And then you make sure that along of all of this, you have to be documenting every single thing. Because you will have to work with a lot of customers, a lot of teams. It's not only one customer. It would be great if you work only with one customer, but it doesn't really happen often. So you have to document all of this, make sure that you have keep track for this. Meeting notes, now we have everything AI, like kind of collecting this information for you and summarizing it, which is great. And once you get all of this also, okay, what are the operational and monitoring after you go, like you kind of cut over or migrate everything to AWS? Most of the customers, they think, okay, about this is what we have, this is what you're gonna need, the target architecture, and then how we're gonna do the cutover. And then that's it, but they don't think about beyond the migration. Okay, how can I manage all of this infrastructure at scale? Is my team is skilled? Do we need to do training? Do we need someone to help us, to support us until we actually learn how to optimize that or like run it on AWS? So this is like what we kind of thought about how we can summarize any discovery call. So you need to think about all of it, and it doesn't have to be, you can ask questions about operational support in the first call or the second call. So you need to just to think about it. And then I think that's what we're gonna go through, like a kind of an example of how we do that for one of the discovery calls. And we'll try to, if you have any questions, we'll try to look at the chat and answer meanwhile. Did I summarize that?
I think that was a great overview, Nabil. I think everybody got the overall picture. So now to just do a role play. So I think you've understood the entire process. Now we'll just do a role play where I'll play the customer and Nabil will obviously be the specialist essay. And so you'll understand what actually happens in that meeting and how the conversation flows. So that's what we can start with that, Nabil, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop my sharing then, and then we can go through
Yeah.
some of this, and then maybe I will do some white board.
Yeah.
I don't know if it will help. It depends on the time what we have. So I'm gonna just share my screen for the whiteboard, and I just keep it here. It depends on the screen. Yeah.
Yeah, that will be helpful, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Then I think I'm ready.
Yeah.
If you're ready, Parna.
Yeah, I am.
So, okay, cool. Then I'm going to start that. Thank you for joining me today. I'm interested to learn a little bit more about your environment, the reason you're moving to or interested to move to AWS. If you can tell me, like, give me an overview about what you have on-prem today.
Hey, Nabil, thank you for joining me today. And we are considering moving our infrastructure to the cloud. And we have a fairly large and complex infrastructure on premises. And this is getting really costly to maintain every day. And it is reaching our scaling limits. So I really need your help to get into the process of migration. So please let me know how I can give you important points for that.
Awesome, thank you for that. So I'd like to, if you can give me an overview about your current infrastructure, like how many VMs do you have, if it is running on VMware or like Linux, or what kind of virtualization they're using. It's like an overview that will help me just to understand how you operate your infrastructure.
Sure. So mostly we have 3-tiered architecture, and we have web servers, application servers, and databases. And we have around 200 VMs running on VMware in our primary data center. Plus, we also have a smaller disaster recovery site. and most of our applications are running on Windows Server 2016 and 2019. We have a couple of workloads which run on Linux as well. And for databases, we are primarily using SQL Server, and we have a few of them where we are using MySQL as well.
Okay, so thank you. So just to summarize it, that you have 3 tiers application. So I'm just trying to summarize that just to make sure that I understand. So you have the web layer here, and then you have.
Nabil, will you be able to like zoom in a bit or write the font size bigger when you're writing? The boxes
Okay.
are clear, but the text is a bit, yeah.
How about now? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is better. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. Yeah, and then we have application layer, and you say that you have database, which is.
That's right.
Yeah, so you have here database. Yeah, you mentioned that you got SQL servers.
Yes, SQL Server and a couple of MySQL servers as well.
Okay, awesome. So, and then you mentioned also that you are running on another environment, which is like a DR environment for that. Is it the
Yes.
same size for the current environment, or the scaled down environment for
It's
this?
scaled down. It's about 60% reflecting that of the primary one. So it's a smaller version.
Okay. Scale down site. That's DR. Okay, thank you for that. And then how about your storage requirement? Do we have an overview about what you have as a storage layer?
Yeah, so we have NFS storage, and the total size approximately is 50 terabytes.
Okay, that sounds good. For the numbers, I'm gonna maybe follow up with other questions because we will need to pull all of this inventory from your team. So
Sure.
Since you are running VMware, there's an RV tool output which pull everything for us. That will help us to understand how you are running.
That'll be good. Yeah.
So we have here an NFS layer that's across your application here. Okay, that's awesome.
Yes.
That sounds good. And then how about the like kind of the DR kind of environment? Does it also like have a database for each of this one as a scale environment, or it's just only the databases up and running, or some customer they do both?
So only for our critical applications. So like I said, it's just about 60% mirroring our primary site. Yeah. So only for our critical applications.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, and then you mentioned that for the NFS, for the storage, you have around 50 terabyte. Did I get this right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. And then is it all active, or you have a backup also stored in this storage?
So around 15 terabytes is active database, and the remaining is all backup.
So we say 15?
15, 1-5.
Yeah, 15% active, and the rest is backup, right?
Right.
Okay, awesome. This is good. I'm just gonna clean this later. It helped me to put a picture about whatever you're running.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. That's good. And then how about, do you have any other kind of thing outside of this, or shall we jump into the networking piece? Like if I want to understand a little bit about your network infrastructure, how it look like.
Yeah. So you have more or less covered most things over here. So let's go to the networking part. So for our networking, the backbone for our data center is about 10 Gbps, and the bandwidth to our desktops is about 1 Gbps. We have 2 redundant internet connections, and which is around 1 Gbps. And a lot of our partners, we connect with them using VPN. There is one major supplier, however, with whom we have a direct connection.
Okay. And then, so just to catch, so you say that 10 GP, and
yes,
and then 1 GP for your desktop, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. How about other cloud? Do you have any other workload running in different cloud provider?
Yeah, that's good you mentioned that. So we have some AI/ML workloads which is running on GCP. So about 2 years ago, there was mostly a departmental initiative. This was not part of our central IT strategy, and we have about 10 instances running there for our AIML workloads. And this data science team who was managing it, they are also using BigQuery for the analytics part. So kindly give me some suggestions about that also. But
Right.
as you understand, they've been working on it for the past 2 years, so they have developed expertise on those AI tools.
I see. And then are you interested to also migrate that GCP workload to AWS, or you prefer to keep that there?
So we are open to options. We are evaluating at this stage. If it makes sense to consolidate, if it will be simpler to operate, it will be mostly cost efficient, then we might consider. But like I said, we already have trained team on those AI tools, and we might have to get them into our meeting to discuss about the features and options for that. So we'll try to keep that separate maybe.
Okay, sure. Yeah, we'd be happy to do that. So we see a lot of customers with this kind of pattern. They have the AI ML running on GCP for BigQuery, especially for BigQuery use cases. Yeah, we will we can build the whole business case moving the on-prem environment and then also the GCP to AWS. It's just different methodology because the on-prem you own your inventory. However, in GCP that we will, it's kind of it's a cloud provider, right? Like AWS. So we will the discovery is a little bit different, and also pulling the inventory is a little bit different. But
Right.
we'll
You
help
can let
work.
me know the options, and we'll probably, take in the opinion of our data science team as well. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, we'll do that. And then I just wanted to understand that from overview, from migration timelines, like are you planning to migrate in the next year, 2 or 3?
Possibly in the next 6 months. So that's the plan, and let's see how it goes. So we'll probably talk about it, how complex it will be once we've had the discovery workshop. Probably it'll make more sense to discuss timelines. Yeah.
Yeah, in general that, so we will, this is kind of our first call, so we will have multiple calls to go through the whole discovery. And then we'll pull more details. Once we get the inventory for both the on-prem and GCP, we will build kind of like-for-like mapping to AWS, how much it costs
True.
to run that overall workload, and we call it total cost of ownership for run, or TCO, to run that workload in AWS. This is kind of the first thing, and then after that, we're gonna do migration planning based on the timelines. We will do either lift and shift or modernization, right?
Makes sense. Yeah.
And then also the other thing we would like to go through is setting up that landing zone. When we say landing zone in AWS, think about it like when we move to a new place, then you need to make sure that, okay, you have a layout for your, like, let's say apartment or house, where you're going to put your furniture, or from bed or like sofa or something. So you can set up everything, where the TV will be installed, where is the office room. So this is kind of, when you translate that to AWS, it is basically how the network infrastructure look like, how the like the account structure. There are different kind of naming or like definitions for running a workload on-prem versus cloud. And on-prem also you have everything running in data centers. In AWS we have different naming, different kind of definitions for availability zone and regions, which for DRs. So we're gonna help you setting up all of this AWS accounts, networking setup, how the networking between, if it's like a hub or spoke or like centralized or decentralized networking across AWS. So we will go through all of this with you, make sure that it meets your requirement, and then after that we'll execute that migration. Whether I forgot to ask that if you're going to plan to do the migration by yourself, or you have a partner in mind you would like us to work with, or we can also recommend the partners from our side too.
Uh, Probably you could recommend. We are doing this for the first time, so we are open to any kind of recommendations. But Nabil, now that you were explaining about how we can go about it, I actually missed telling you about our backup and disaster recovery strategy. Let me just tell you about that. Probably that will give you some more data points. So we generally back up to disk initially, and weekly we back up using tape. Our RPO for our non-critical applications is about 24 hours, and we have a couple of critical applications which I told you about. So we take up backup every 4 hours. It's the same for even RTO. So for the non-critical ones, it's 24 hours, and for a couple of critical ones, it's 4 hours. And yeah, so having said that, do you have any suggestions for backup? Like what kind of services I can use for backup as well as storage?
Yeah, so just to make sure that I capture that, you mentioned that the RPU is, what was the RPU?
So for the critical applications, it's 4 hours, and for
Mhm.
the non-critical ones, it's 24 hours.
Okay, awesome. And in the RTU?
It's the same. Critical
Same.
4 hours
Okay.
and non-critical 24.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So for backup, we have. I'm not sure if you heard about AWS backup service. It's basically centralize your backup across AWS services.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about like managing a specific backup or like kind of an individual service. So you will just enable that backup across multiple services. It will help you to also for restoring point of view. It's a centralized thing. We can also have what we call it immersion days to walk you through walk your team through how we do the backup and how it works across AWS. We definitely can go through that.
Yeah, makes sense. So I'm guessing backup can do things in an automated fashion, and the retention,
Yeah.
everything we can manage. Great. So I'll
Yeah.
look forward to that immersion day that you spoke about. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for this. Yeah, I totally forgot about the backup here. And what else might have missed? Let me think about it.
So what are the storage options? Like initially we spoke about that we are using NFS. So what are the different storage options that you have and that would fit into our environment that we spoke about?
Yeah. So if I'm gonna look at if I see here like a good representation for AWS, we talked just quickly about AWS backup. So I'm gonna say that AWS backup as a backup service, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then for storage, we have multiple options, right? So it really depends on what you are looking at from storage. So if you would like to have like a block storage, we have the EBS. Or if you want to have an object storage, what's S3 for the file share storage, we have an NFS or FSX if it is for Windows. So we have multiple options for storage. So I'm going to list them here. We have NFS. We have also FSX for Windows. Yeah. And then also for the S3 for object storage. Usually we're going to use S3 for any kind of static kind of objects, or like some customer also use it for extended backup. AWS backup uses S3 in the backend as a backup service, but it really depends on the application and what we are going to do during the discovery or what we're going to find out, right? So we're going to select one of this based on the application requirement. And yeah, and then for the web layer and application layer, we have multiple options for computing. Either we're going to use EC2. That's actually, I think, most of the people are aware of or heard about EC2. Or also we can use, if you're planning to use containers, or if you're running any containers on-prem, we can use EKS or ECS as a container.
Yeah, we'll probably think about modernizing later. So yeah.
Yeah, that's as a next step, I would say. We can also modernize some of the workload if they are already running, like ready to be containerized. But if not, then we suggest to move first to kind of EC2, and then after that we do modernization.
Get it.
Yeah, and then to make this easier, so that we would like to set up a kind of for the migration point of view, we're going to use MGN to migrate the application layer and web layer to EC2 using AWS MGN. We spoke about MGN earlier, right. And then that's
lift and shift, right, Nabil?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We are gonna do a lift and shift, as you say that. So here, sorry, sometimes I mess using the tool. So we're gonna use MGN for migration. Mm-hmm. And then we are gonna use also for database, we have multiple options. Either we're going to use MGN also to lift and shift the whole database, or we can use database migration service. We can talk about that also at a later point. This is basically for database migration.
Okay.
And for storage migration, there is also another service we have is called DataSync, AWS DataSync.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about all of this based on the migration strategy, what we're going to define. But since we're going to have all of this migration, I would highly recommend to have a direct connect between your on-prem environment and AWS, which is a dedicated connection. So it's like a pipe between AWS. It's a private connection for you, so that we guarantee the bandwidth between on-prem and AWS.
Right. So during the transfer, we would like our partners to be connected at all times. So I think this would be a good option then. What
yes, that would be awesome. Yeah, that will be basically the best way to go through that.
Okay. So all this sounds really good, Nabil. I'm just concerned about the costs. So our CFO was concerned about any unexpected cloud expenses. As you know, we are making a big move. So we really want to manage, control, and govern our expenses. So what kind of tools or services we can use for that? Can you suggest, and how can we go about that?
Yeah, sure. So as I mentioned, that from overall cost of running this workload in AWS, we will help you to set up that, we'll help you to estimate how much it costs you to run AWS based on the actual usage. That's the inventory what we're going to receive later. But after you move to AWS, there are different tools and services we have. We have AWS Budget, which is basically monitor your, you can define like the thresholds, and then you can integrate that with SNS for notification. If something goes above a specific limit. Also, we're gonna define if you are talking about how your development team, you are afraid that they might spin up stuff which is
right.
So this is what we also part of the landing zone in AWS organization. We're gonna have specific accounts for sandbox account for the developers, and then also we can define in that what kind of services they can spin up or not. And then we can also define notification on that. If the spin up a notification, kind of specific thing, there are multiple governance, I would say, not only from budgeting, you can also do combine that with AWS tagging strategy, so that to know who is spinning up, we get notification, we should shut down this workload after hours because no one is using it based on specific kind of requirement. So we can go through all of this. There are so many different tools we can go through, talk about it also.
Okay, that's promising, and I'm sure there are some long-term strategies also for when you are running workloads 24/7 where I can save, right? I've heard about savings plans. Is that right?
Yes, we have multiple if you heard about a reserved instance or saving plans, it is basically you can commit to 1 or 3 years of using the compute, and then you get a discounted price for that. So for steady workload, we highly recommend to go through that. And that's also will be part of our TCO analysis or for the business case.
I think you've covered most of it. So this is great. I just want to get started. So just tell me a brief overview about the steps that I can go through.
Yeah. So after the call, I'm gonna clean up this diagram, put it in a nicer way a little bit, and then I'm gonna send a summary about what we discussed. What we would like to start is we would like to receive the inventory. I will also explain how we can pull that inventory from on-prem and from GCP too. We will take around a week or 2 based on the resources from our side. We will work also with the AWS Cloud Economics team to help with the business case to see that how can we help you and compare what you are running on-prem and AWS. Once we do that, then we will go through, if you remember that we spoke earlier about all the migration strategy, which is assess, mobilize, and migrate and modernize. So we will do all of the assess phase. We also have what we call it migration readiness assessment, or MRA. It's basically to understand how you run workload in your current environment and what services or tools you use today, and what can we bring to AWS or what you need to change based on that. We also can do what we call it learning need analysis, which we're going to go and interview your team to see what is their skill set of knowing and AWS, so that we will know that if we can scale AWS workload, or we need to have a support in the future. So we also can give them training, and can also offer the immersion days to make sure that your team know about how we run workload in AWS. The other thing also we need to figure out along the way, the partners. So I'm going to recommend some partners from our side, make sure that cover the requirement what you have, and they have a skill set for moving on-prem VMware workload and also GCP workload to AWS. We'll make sure that we'll be along the way with them, so that nothing is being missed from our side. And then I'm not sure if you will be interested also for using a support. We have a AWS managed service team who help you run the workload after you're on-prem.
At least initially, yes. So
that's basically most of the customers do that. They like to run on use AMS, so that to see their team set with them, learn how they run workload in AWS after they get out from on-prem. That will be useful for your team too. Yeah.
That was fantastic, Nabil. Thank you so much, and I look forward to our next discovery workshop.
Thank you very much. Sorry if I gone over time, but I'm really happy to meet you, and I'm looking forward for this opportunity.
Nabil, you were on time. It was me and Tavi who went overboard with the VMware topic.
Nice.
Cool. I know we are 10 minutes into the session, but thank you everyone for sticking around. And we understand that VMware is a difficult topic and a lot to pack in just one session. We will be following up with a lot of resources for you to go through in your own time. Do not rush it. VMware is not a topic that you can kind of gain expertise in a week. And that will be the case going forward also. Next week, we are covering storage and database migration, which again is a very heavy topic in itself. Ashish is great in analogies, so I'll let him pick up that and start doing his analogies to simplify it for the audience. And then the subsequent 2 weeks, week 5 and week 6, let me share the screen very quickly so that it'll be easier for everyone to see.
The resources, we take time to figure out what is the best resource for you. So look at those resources. That would be really helpful, and bookmark it, come back again, watch the session again, as Parna was saying. Maybe do it on a slow speed if you are having problem with the VMware session. So go on slow speed and figure out what you are still missing.
Yeah, and going forward, even these topics will be very heavy in case if you're new to modernization, like modernization patterns and pathways on AWS. We'll be introducing a lot of path patterns there, and we'll be doing a lot of demos here in these sessions. And even if you look at the behavioral, it's very packed, like workload discovery meeting in itself. This can go on for a couple of hours, the way Parna and Nabil were going on to do a proper discovery meeting, and same will be the next thing. So we'll try and condense them as much as we can and provide as much value as much within the short span we have. And then we'll be following up with resources for you to upskill in your own time. Cool. Let me just share one last slide for people as a next step, which is now it's your turn to complete the knowledge check. Obviously, we'll send the resources probably by tomorrow or day after max. Go through those and then do the knowledge checks. Practice the hands-on workshop. This particular week workshop, you will not be able to do it in your own AWS account unless you do that setup on your own. Otherwise, you can go through the workshop in your own time in terms of reading it and looking through all the phases. But we'll be sending the link and details around it. Yeah, be active and support your peers. I see a lot of people answering questions here in the chat to each other, which is great. Thank you so much for doing that. And please be active on the Discord also. Like we as AWS people, we try and get as much bandwidth as possible, but it's not always feasible for us to answer each and every question. But feel free to keep the communication up between you folks. And yeah, share your learnings widely as much as possible. This is really important for you to actually reinforce your learning and share with everyone and showcase your skill set.